Old Man Bass is a dreamer, having spent his entire life on the hunt for sacred swords of legend, and in the process getting conned countless times by unreliable rumors, duping him out of his life savings. With almost all of his immediate family no longer alive, the old man has few pursuits in life but his one dream of chancing upon a truly mythical find. His granddaughter, the sole living member remaining in his family, is quite unhappy about her grandfather's wanton pursuits, especially since Bass is now relentlessly pursuing another lead on a potential treasure in the Liga Desert, yet another hollow rumor to add to the pile of broken dreams. The Liga Desert is crawling with some of the most brutal bandits in the continent, and the Sinnoh Knights decide to take this opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. Clear the area of a pack of deadly thieves, and who knows, perhaps we can actually find something for the old man for once. So begins Chapter 10-1. Impossible Dream. Objective: investigate the rumor of the sacred sword. Unfortunately for us, this area is absolutely crawling with worms. We've dealt with a few of them in the past, but only one at a time, and it's usually the centerpiece of the map. Having 5 of them flying all over the place definitely does not spell good news for us. Bring every able-bodied mage you can get your hands on. Their abilities will be necessary to weather us through this bloody fight. The enemies are divided into 2 main plateaus which we must ascend. On the right, and closest to us, are a group of bandits led by Sandrov. He is on the bounty list, and we should absolutely capture him, not just because it will double our rewards, but because he is also holding a Thunder Ring, a piece of accessory that we'll find ourselves desperately needing very soon. Sandrov is actually a massive coward. The instant he is hurt, even if it is the tiniest scratch imaginable, he will turn tail to flee. Do not allow him. But before we can get to Sandrov, be careful about making the ascent too fast. We will almost immediately be attacked by 2 of the 5 worms as soon as the map begins. You will soon notice that the worms on this map have a strange property. After attacking us or being attacked once, they will immediately berserk themselves, causing them to attack wildly on their next move to shake off the status effect, which might mean they will swing around to attack our enemies for us, but this is usually unreliable. 4 of the 5 worms on this map use Wind Breath, which means that any access to thunder magic will do a lot of damage to them. Or failing that, fire magic will still prove to be somewhat effective, with wind being reserved for the sole fireworm instead. There are precious few other ways to land good damage against them, but Dean and his access to Vengeful deserves a special shout out. Allowing him to tank a heavy hit means that he will retaliate with even greater force, and even the immense defense of dragons can be overcome thanks to it. This is of course not too reliable of a strategy against too many at once, but it can be a desperate last resort to fight off the terror in the sky. There are a lot of treasures buried in the sand, all of them on the sites of large fossils, denoted by the white sparkles that we're very familiar with by now. Bring a thief or Axel to search for these 4 spots. Each of the 4 spots contains a crafting material. Starting on the eastern plateau with Sandrov, the spot can be searched for an opal. The remaining 3 worms will eventually be drawn to you and attack. Dispatch them quickly as best as you can, since very few units can tank them for long. If you still have the wind shield from defeating Martin in Chapter 7, or even a wind ring, equip them for some much needed wind resistance to survive if necessary. One of these worms will drop a Wyvern Scale when killed, an item required for Erzheimer's collection, and it is the only Wyvern Scale in the game, so make sure to get it. There is a tiny plateau to the north worth detouring to. The Worm Caller at the start of this map is hiding up there, along with a searchable spot for Agura Steel. It is implied that this Worm Caller is keeping the worms controlled, but by the time you reach him, you will have likely taken care of all the worms already. He's carrying a Vanish Stone and a Pegasus Brace, and is notably unarmed. Either kill him to get his drops, or capture him to get the brace for your own use. The western plateau filled with bandits is the final area that remains, though beware of reinforcements. This map features 2 waves. 6 enemies will spawn in the top left escape marker on turn 11, and 3 cavalry units will spawn from the bottom right on turn 18. Other than those 2, this map isn't timed, and given the high pressure of the enemies, there's no real punishment to take the map as slowly as you want. On the western plateau is a bandit carrying a Gore Fork that will drop it on death. This is not our first encounter with Gore Forks, but this is the first and only Gore Fork that will draw from an enemy instead of needing to capture them for one. If you had no luck so far with securing one, this place is where you will find a guaranteed fork for Erzheimer. Once the map is fully routed and 2 reinforcements waves taken care of, search the 2 spots on the western plateau. The southern spot contains a Gale Shard, and the northern one contains a Wyvern Pearl and Trapdoor? Welcome to the true boss fight. Turns out the rumors of the Sacred Sword was real after all, but it's guarded by a terrifying monster. Thor, the Thunderworm, is the true boss of this map, an insanely strong enemy with some levels of resistance to all elements. His Thunder Breath carries a high cripple rate and will delete less prepared units. In the center of the pit is a sword stuck in the ground. This is our true objective for this map. Claim the sword and slay Thor. Despite how scary he looks, Thor is not an unassailable enemy. He notably has the least amount of resistance to fire, and if you have captured Sandral from earlier in the map and taken his Thunder Ring, a worthy enough Fire Mage can equip this ring and become virtually immune to Thor's Thunder Breath, and deal appreciable damage back to it to the point where they stand a good chance of winning against Thor one-on-one. As long as they pack some vulneraries to heal themselves in a pinch, once Thor falls, all that's left is to claim the sword. The sword stuck in the ground is the Sacred Sword Raise Etoile, and can only be pulled out with a unit that has sword ranks. Since Recent Ward cannot be deployed on this map, we're limited to the choice of any sword-wielding playable party member instead. The Raise Etoile is an incredible weapon with 100% lifesteal, making it a very desirable find. Whoever pulls out the sword will have a bound to them as their PRF, so pick a sword unit that you really like to have this on and give it to them. One more note. If Thor proves to be too much of a match for you, or if you didn't bring a thief that can trigger the Pitfall event, it is sufficient to clear the map by escaping instead, but you will be waiving almost all the rewards to be gained on this map. It is definitely recommended to stand your ground and face the thunder, as it were. Great treasures await those who are worthy enough to claim it. After completing this map, sell your items to Earthheimer. You may have completed the item collection now that you have sold the Wyvern Scale. If not, you may be missing a Dark Axe, which drops on Chapter 12, or the Albatross from Kramer's Paralock, or Dark Mace for any melee Razai Priest. Aside from these potentially missable items, if your item collection quest isn't complete yet, it's time to take inventory to see if you can still even complete it at all. If you have completed the collection, then congratulations. Your reward for filling in all 18 items of the gallery is Clara, the maid. She will join the Sinnoh Knights and live in the storage vault, where she will bring 4 bags with her for organizational purposes, essentially giving your army 32 additional inventory slots, a very welcome addition to the army. Take some time to sort out your inventory and do some spring cleaning. We have one more side chapter to complete. See you soon.